NTV's Grow on location. We've got the entire team out here at Husker Harvest Days. No rain or mud this year. The year of the wind, maybe it might be remembered for.
It's great weather. It'll be great weather for the week ahead, and we'll always talk about the Proverbs.
And here we go. We're going to take a look at some of our favorite moments of Husker Harvest Days 2015. Get ready to grow.
We've got a guest who is actually just back from Japan. How about that? Lieutenant Governor Mike Foley joining us.
Hey, thanks very much. Great to be with you.
So Japan, why Japan? I mean, that is such an important trading partner for
It really
Nebraska
is. You know,
agriculture.
sometimes we lose sight of the fact of how important our economy is tied into the economy of Japan. Japan's a very prosperous country. 120 million people living on an island out in the Pacific Ocean. But they've done remarkable things with that, with what they have to work with. But they have to import a lot of their food, and we're happy to help them with that, naturally. They're buying about $1 billion a year of agricultural products coming right out of Nebraska. They're our #1 trading partner for beef, for pork, for corn, wheat, and for eggs.
Wow.
So they're buying a lot from us, and it's good when we have $1 billion customer to go over and talk to them once in a while. We went over and met with our purchasers over there and our trading partners and try to build those relationships. You know, the Japanese culture is very much relationship oriented. They want to meet you first.
Well, and that's
firsthand.
what I wanted to ask about. You know, how important is it for them to connect to a producer, the farmer or rancher, and put a face there?
It's very important. We had a delegation of some farmers, ranchers, some government folks like myself, and go over there and talk to these people one-on-one. We're the new team in the government side, obviously.
Sure.
So they wanted to meet us, and we wanted to meet them. We put on a taste testing for them. 700 Japanese people showed up, restaurateurs and meat purchasers and so forth, came to this plush hotel. We put on a big spread for them. And
What'd they think?
they loved it.
Yeah?
They love our beef and our pork, and we gave them plenty of it. And we're going to sell them some more, too.
Great.
They're great customers. Good people, too. Just good people to be with.
So do you think you got what you wanted to accomplish?
We really did. You know, one of the challenges we have is the tariffs that they have to pay when they buy our agricultural products. There's a Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement in the works.
The TPP.
The TPP. If
And
we
now
can get that thing through.
Right, and now the president has fast-track trade authority, the Trade Promotion Authority. Do you think that hopefully nudges us in that direction?
I think that's going to nudge us in the right direction. If we can get that thing pushed through, that'll lower those tariffs. Right now we're competing head-to-head with the Australians. And the Australian beef and pork, it does not match up to the quality of ours, but price-wise, they beat us because of these tariffs. But if we get those tariffs levelized somewhat, our products are going to go like gangbusters.
So
over in Japan.
hopefully you would think the president, you want him to use that authority.
Yes,
if he
we
can.
want to move this thing forward. If we can get that TPP put in place, that'd be a big help to the Nebraska ag sector.
One thing a lot of consumers are talking about these days is humane treatment of animals, how that plays out into the food that they eat and that they purchase when they go to restaurants.
Yeah.
McDonald's recently making an announcement saying that their eggs and the Egg McMuffins will be coming from cage-free eggs. Nebraska Farm Bureau, the folks, they have some concerns with the position that McDonald's has taken for.
It creates some misconception.
That's what they're afraid.
You know,
yeah.
and so you talk to them.
Right.
Let's get some reaction.
Let's hear that from them.
One of the things that says when they make statements like that is if you don't raise animals under the regime that they would like it to be raised, is somehow everybody else is doing it differently is bad. And that's one of the statements that we're concerned about when larger companies like this come out with these kinds of statements.
Mark McHarg, he raises hogs. He says this reminds him of what happened a couple of years ago. Remember all the big debate over gestation stalls with hogs? He says the science shows those practices are legit, but he says that McDonald's is not listening to the science. Let's hear what Mark has to say about that.
Something that science says is sound science. It's a humane way to raise our animals. Farmers and ranchers, we live with these animals every day, and we've kind of figured out what works best for them. So then when you have a company that ignores both the people that raise the animals, they ignore the science, the academia that talks about how to raise it, and they look strictly at maybe what a consumer wants, I'm just not sure that's the best way to make decisions.
Issues like that, whether it's the hormones in beef, whether it's cage-free, gestation stalls.
And now property taxes, all big issues.
Yeah, and Farm Bureau, they stay on top of a lot of these hot-button issues. I know that they're not always popular things, but Farm Bureau, they tell me, they decide this stuff at the grassroots level. They have county organizations. They get together and say, these are the things we need to focus on. And right now, when it comes to Nebraska,
Yeah.
Property taxes, they say by far that is at the top of the list. Here's what Mark has to say about that.
You know, absolutely. It's kind of funny. You travel around the state and you start talking to farmers and ranchers about property tax. And it was a couple years ago, it's like, yeah, this is a problem, this is a problem. Now there's almost a feel of almost anger. You know, it's like something has to be done and it needs to happen fairly quickly. So that's really our push, that 2016 needs to be the year that we do something substantial.
Cover crop garden out here, focusing on the soil part of it. What's going on here?
And we're trying to give a live presentation of each of those types of species. We'd like to have, ideally, as a mix. We'd like to have more than just one type of species growing. The most popular thing that people grow is the turnips, and the turnips are ones that give us a lot of taproot. We have other types of brassica that are in that category that also work as well. But the grasses mixed together with them helps us on the soil biology, because we'd like to have a living root in the field as much as we can through the season.
A natural way to improve the soil, really, right? What's the goal behind all of this?
Yes, that's our overall goal, is to try to improve our overall soil quality and soil health. So it's taking the next step. We've had a lot of producers that have adopted the no-till, but now we're moving into a soil biology component where we can see where we can benefit from having something for the microbes to live on, because if we don't have anything in the soil that's a live root, there's a tendency for them to either go dormant or to decline dramatically, because we get a baking effect of the soil. So when we have protection with our cover or residue that's out there, that helps lower the soil temperature, but also we get some shading effect, and we have these plants growing out there, and by having the root we have something for the bacteria to survive on, which are then beneficial to help break down nutrients and make them more available for the crop.
This is interesting because really people can find out what they need on their specific ground and figure out what they can do. And of course, if they have questions, contact Extension, right?
Yes, we do encourage producers to try to grow something, out there. I think there's many components that are available on our website. If you go to the cropwatch.unl.edu, also on our livestock website, and they can contact their local extension office.
There is an animal factor into all of this as well, livestock, and that's really important when it comes to these cover crops too.
Well, from the cover crop perspective, you're looking at long-term soil benefits, and so incorporating livestock can actually allow you to get short-term economic benefits and get those soil benefits. So it can actually make it very economical to build nutrients, reduce weeds, and build your organic matter and your microbial biomass by planting a cover crop and then grazing it. And so as they've talked about, there's a couple options for different times, seed corn after wheat or after corn silage. All of those can provide quite a bit of forage production in the fall. Gains that we've seen on calves grazing a brassica oat mix, so say turnips and radishes with some oats, are somewhere around 1.5 to 2 pounds a day. And that's somewhere around usually 100 to 150 pounds of gain per acre. With current calf prices, we're getting somewhere around $20 to $100 an acre in return over the expense of planting the cover crop and then applying that 50 pounds of nitrogen that we're kind of showing in this demonstration. The brassicas and the oats are very, very high quality, and even though they do winter kill, we see that even despite the fact that they're yellowing and browning in the winter, they're still very, very high quality. They maintain that, and so people can get as much growth as they can possibly obtain by waiting till grazing into November, and then start grazing in November all the way through into December and February. And so it's kind of a win-win in that you get the ground cover, you get the soil benefits, and then you can get some cattle performance out of the deal.
A really great way to diversify your operation and really take advantage of what you have and make the most of it, don't you think?
Yes, and I would say for those people that are purely crop producers and they don't have livestock, it's becoming more and more popular to do some leases with a neighbor who maybe has livestock. Or it's a great way to think about bringing the younger generation back into the operation. Say they can manage the cattle, or just buy in some stocker cattle, say in October, to graze them through part of the winter and then sell them after that. And so there's some ways to do it without having a livestock operation so that people that are not diversified can still take advantage of these opportunities.
Drones were the main a big attraction, not
Or
main, but really one of the big attractions
unmanned
out there.
aerial vehicles. We gotta get the terminology right.
Right.
And Megan Johnson, she went out there to check out some of the demos, not just combine demos out here, but drone demos. Here's more.
A lot at Husker Harvest Days focuses on the ground, from the seeds that companies sell to the crops that grow out of it, even the tractors that drive on it. But a new demonstration this year takes to the sky. It's a small craft making a big impact in ag.
With the right laws in place, UAV adoption will explode in agriculture.
Greg Austin says drones are generating buzz right now. So as a leader in farm tech, Husker Harvest Days decided to add them to the show.
This year we wanted to try to put together an environment for farmers to come and see all the different technology that's coming in this. It's a very exciting new area in the industry.
But current federal rules limit UAV use to make money, and regulations are changing as to how operators may be licensed. So there are gray areas when it comes to flying.
That was a beautiful landing, wasn't it?
For the ag show's part, Austin says they're doing things by the book.
The companies that are flying here today, they all have their FAA exemptions. It's a Section 333 exemption, and we have certificate of airworthiness. We have approval from the local air traffic control, and we have a commercial pilot on site even to make sure that we can do this in the safest way possible.
Those requirements, however, mean only one company came to take part in the UAV demo's inaugural year.
I do believe that really limited the amount of people that were willing to fly at the show.
The USB plug, and we plug it in.
But Austin says he sees more companies launching and landing at the show in the future.
Next year, it looks to be we're going to have new regulations, and that the hoops won't be as big to get through. We're just going to get everybody educated on the right stewardship, on the airspace, and respecting the airplanes above us. And hopefully next year it's a lot bigger deal.